So in today's video, we're going to give you the workout routine that has blown my legs up over the past few years. I'm going to explain the exercises that we do. You'll be able to take a screenshot of that workout and insert it into your own training split. If you like my methodology and the reasons behind why I program certain exercise, how to get the most out of each exercise so we can really have the most direct impact on your legs. Because let's be honest, leg day is fucking hard enough as it is without your energy being wasted in other areas. Look at your ability to train legs like a light bulb. You want that light bulb to be as energy efficient as possible and just give out light. But a lot of motherfuckers are training with about 60% energy efficient. And really, they're training hard, burning energy, burning glycogen, but not getting the direct impact that they could do on the specific working muscle. So that's my aim for you in this video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Tom Sergey. I run the Gorilla Platoon, and we get results like this. Sorry, I don't actually have any photos of legs for the guys because the main goal is upper body aesthetic physique. But leg day is something that should be trained once a week, every week, and never ignored. So we're going to explain what I do for that and what I also program for my clients as well. I promise you is by the end of this video, you'll have a leg workout to follow and then how to actually implement it as well. So from there, we'll roll straight into the exercises. So unpopular opinion, but I actually start my leg workouts with leg extension and also hamstring curl. You may think why, but so your muscle is weakest in the shortened position. This is when your muscle is contracted. So I actually start with that where I am weakest, because if you go and do it after you've toasted them on muscles, on exercises that hit them in the lengthened position, you're not going to be as effective. I also find it's a very, very good way of getting the muscles warm, plenty of blood in there, the joints also active and moving before I go into my main money mover exercises. It's not maybe not a popular belief. Could it impact your overall pressing exercises? Potentially. So that's something you need to consider. I found this works really well for me, and I found it work well for clients, and that's why I program it to hit the muscle in the shortened position first. So starting off with a leg extension, when you're performing this movement, what I want you to imagine is that you can grab these handles and drive your hips against them, because you want to stabilize everything that's not the knee joint, and you want to make sure that knee joint can move freely with the pad. Now, the cue I'm going to give you when you do this exercise, don't think about coming up. Think about pushing the pad forward. Obviously, it will go up when you do that anyway, but think about coming in the longest way up. Get the contraction for a second, slow on the way down, pause at the lengthen, and drive up here. Now, it gets fucking tough. It's probably one of the most sensational and pain-feeling exercises you'll do in the gym, actually. And this is why you have to lock yourself in, strap in, and drive all the way through the set. Slow on the way down, get the pause at the top. The money is at the top on this exercise. So if you can punish yourself and get that fucking squeeze, you're gonna see some good gains. Dig, 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 grind through to get that rep out. So that's the leg extension. That's what we start with first. Next, we're gonna go on to hamstring curl. Now, you've got two variations you can do. You can do the seated and you can also do the lying. I generally connect really well with the lying as well as the seated. What the seated will give you is it stretches, the hamstring attaches just below the knee and also onto the hip. So if you can flex and stretch the glute, it's going to have a greater stretch on the hamstring. So you could say that potentially seated is better, but just try both, see which one you connect with the best. The point of the matter when you do this is, the only thing to move is the knee joint. So if you are doing this on a lying, you've drilled your hips against the pad and your upper body straight, nothing else is moving or jerking. Likewise, when we do this, you're going to think about pushing down instead of back, coming the longest way to the point, pausing then in that shortened position, slowly raising it back up, get the pause, drive again. You're bracing against the handles. It's important whether you're pulling in the lying position or pushing against in this, that you're bracing against those handles. You're weakest in the shortened position, spend that second there, drive the way through, get the pause, and then continue this set on as follows. Pushing hard, 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 with intensity to failure. We'll go through rep schemes of what I prescribe for this. But for now, let's move on to the next batch of exercises. So the next exercise we're going to select is going to be one for the quads and glutes that hits the muscle in the lengthened position, where you're strongest. This is going to be your main money mover exercise, which is going to produce the most load and force. Now, I'm going to show you three different exercises. All are great in their own ways. All of the exercise I will show you will have your back supported. The reason for that is I don't want your back to fail before your quads do. And let's be honest, your quads are significantly stronger than your lower back is. Back squat is an absolutely phenomenal exercise. If you want to be a strong like bull, it is a great exercise. For building overall strength, absolutely brilliant exercise. But I just want to challenge the glutes and the quads. So in doing so, I'm going to focus on this. Now, the first option I'm going to give you is the leg press. And the reason I say it as the first option is what we want to look at when we're training our quads and the glutes is how much flexion, i.e. bend, do we get at the knee joint for the quads and the hip joint for the glutes. If we go down to the bottom through this exercise here, so here is the bottom. Look at the angle of the knee joint. There's still a bit of daylight in there. We still could get our hamstring to calf. Not on this exercise though, and not everyone has the strength to go through that form of range of motion, and this is why I lead with this exercise first before I show you. Not that the next two are more advanced, they just allow for more knee flexion. But I would start you on this to begin with, so 6 to 8 weeks. Get strong at this through this range of motion, and then look to progress on to the next one. Hip joint it's closed all the way. You are fully dialed in here. The glutes, you're going to get big glutes off this exercise, and this is why females love this exercise as well. When you're performing this exercise, what's important is you're grabbing hold of the handles, because what will happen is if you don't, as you come down, so let's say you've come in down to the bottom, down, 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 down. If you're not keeping tight here, your pelvis will rotate upwards and the pressure will go into your lower back, and that's how you can hurt yourself on a leg press. So pull yourself in. Imagine you're going to give birth on this thing and then roll from there. Now, as you press back up to the top, soft bend at the knees, always a soft bend. And knees are going to stay hip width apart on this. Down nice and steady, get the pause in the lengthen, drive up. It looks like I've got a shit ton of weight. The actual machine itself is light as fuck. There's some other machines where the machine itself is heavy and then your ego looks less because there's less plates on there. That's it. We're getting the pause. We're driving up. We're hitting the muscle in the lengthened position. So that is the next exercise I would program for you. Now, the next two exercises are very similar, but they slightly work the muscle at different positions. The next one I'm going to show you is a hack squat. Now, this is a beautiful exercise, almost like doing a Smith machine back squat, but we get to support all of your torso. This is going to hit the muscle in the lengthened position, but look at the amount of knee bend I can get on here versus what I can get on a leg press. It's just through the angle of the platform itself. Most of them are angled off, so if your ankle mobility is an issue, your heels will be raised anyway. So when we do this, we're going to treat it like a normal squat. Feet shoulder width, toes facing out at 10 and 2, coming all the way down, getting that pause in the lengthened position. That's where the gains are with this. We don't want to bounce out at the bottom and we don't want to break away our form. Chest is always going to stay up and we're just going to continue to drive through the heels. Soft bend at the top. There's no resistance at the top, so we don't need to spend too long there. We can take half a second, catch our breath, go again, down slow as always, get the pause, cash in the lengthened position, and drive back up again. This is going to be one of your big money mover exercises in terms of load moving. Drive, 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 drive. Gets fucking tough, gets tasty, and that's your set done. Now, I think you'll have seen all exercises I've given so far. One thing you may have it in the gym and may not have seen this before is a pendulum squat. Now, this is a beautiful thing because as you go down towards the bottom here, whoever created this was a bit of a genius actually, or very sinister. When you go down towards the bottom, you cannot get your knees any more bent than that. The fullest of range of motion around that joint to hit the quads. Now, it's not the hardest right at the bottom. In fact, the tension drops off right at the bottom and it turns on just as you come up to there. That's where it's hardest. So it's slightly different to the hack squat. Both very good. I would say stick to hack squat first, then I'd go on to pendulum squat, but very safe. Anyone can do this because whoever created it has put the platform up so anyone with that poor ankle mobility can fix it. It drops off at the bottom where you may struggle. Like, let's be honest, the bottom of the squat is hard, but you're also the strongest there as well. So that's also something to consider. And with this exercise, no resistance really at the top. So you can load this up, get the pause, drive all the way through. We're always looking to get that pause in the lengthened position on all of these exercises. So if you've got it, use it. Most people don't have it, but I thought we'd throw it in there anyway and just show the beautiful benefits of it. If we're looking to challenge the quads, we want to get that sort of knee bend in that lengthened position. That is beautiful stuff. But you may want to progress up to it, start on the leg press, run that for 6 to 8 weeks, then swap this out and move on to a hack. or a pendulum if you've got them available. If you haven't got either of them two, you could go to a Smith machine back squat. Not as supported as the hack squat, but still pretty good nonetheless. So they're the exercises I do for hitting the quads in the lengthened position. Now I'm going to show you what we do to hit the hamstrings in the lengthened position. So one of the holy grails for building thick quads, thick glutes and hamstrings will be the RDL. Now, it can be a bit of a complex movement if you're just using a barbell itself. We're going to talk through that anyway. Gold standard will be you can use a Smith machine first, and even then in some gyms, you'll have seen it where there may be a plate-loaded shrug machine that goes all the way to the floor. You can use it on that, and that will be even better. Now, when we do this exercise, it doesn't matter your ability, really, because your ability will just come with how much load you can manage. What we want to think about is not that we're coming down, it's more that we're going forwards and backwards with this exercise, and I'll show you what I mean with this. But let's start from the bottom and work our way up to the top. Your feet are not going to be shoulder width apart as if you're going to squat. They're going to be hip width apart with your feet facing forward because we're not looking to open the hip joints. We're actually just going to look to push them back. The knees that you can't see will have a soft micro bend. This will allow you to go down into the lengthened position and not feel it behind the knees because that can be really nasty. Your chest is going to be as upright as possible. And the way you do that is you roll your shoulders up and back and try and imagine driving your scapula into your back pockets, and also imagine you're trying to hold the bar with your lats. This will make sense when you roll it back, drive down, and you pause there. You'll feel the lats are engaged, and they're the ones holding the bar. Your hands are just connected to the tool, and ideally you're wearing straps for this. So as we're going to descend through the movement, you're not thinking send the bar down. You're thinking I need to send my hips and my glutes back towards the wall that's away from me. So I'm going hips back, hips back, hips back, hips back. Pause in the lengthened position, get that 1 second. This is where it's hardest. You will have a challenge on the lower back, but as long as you keep the shoulders pulled back and down with the chest out, this is going to remain flat and straight. It's going to be very safe. Now, to get the load back up, you actually want to think about driving your hips forward instead of pulling the bar up. And as graphic as this may sound, picture someone's trying to poke you in the ass and you would clench your cheeks to stop that happening, and it will then send your hips forwards. As a result of your hips going forwards, your chest is going to go upwards and the bar is going to follow suit because your hand is connected to the tool. So you're here, drive, squeeze for a second. Down slow, get the pause, drive forward, squeeze for a second. See how you could do this on a Smith machine and you could pull back against the Smith machine for that? One other thing I'll say is make sure you're close to the bar itself. So the bar is almost running down by your shins, because let's say I come down and the bar is here. The distance between where the bar is and my lower back is significantly greater. So I'm going to feel the tension there. What we want to do is create the distance from where the bar is to your hips. And that is the moment arm of this exercise. And that's what we're looking for. So if you're out here, you're going to feel it on your lower back. Keep it close to your shins. Keep this tight. And then that way the moment arm is more geared towards the glutes. Again, driving forward, getting the squeeze. So I'd advise start this on a Smith machine, even just an empty bar. Get used to pulling the bar backwards and driving your hips back, pausing at the bottom, and then driving your hips forward. Next exercise I'd look to see you do after, so we're 4 exercises deep, really with 2 to go, would be some form of a split squat or a lunge. Depending on your ability and your health of knee flexion, I would be looking to elevate the rear leg. Load would go in the working hand. In this video, I don't know why I'm not carrying any load, but we'll roll with it anyway. And what you're looking for is not to have your foot so far out in front of you. Let me skip back. So as you go down towards the bottom, look at the amount of knee bend I'm getting there. Look where my knee is actually in front of my toe, which is no bad thing. That's how you're going to get maximum knee flexion. Because if I brought my foot out to here, apologies, the bar pops up, your knee is going to be like this, and there's going to be minimal knee bend at all. So you're not really getting as much challenge out of the quads as you could do. Whereas if I'm in this position here with my heel far back, I'm getting a maximum challenge out of the quads. The way you make this even more juicy, for a better term, is you would elevate the foot that I'm stood on here, and that would allow me to push the knee even further forward and get into an even greater position. But that comes with a degree of progression that you need to work up to that point. In terms of the rest of the movement, notice how I've supported my other foot, and that's just going to be there as support. All the load is on the front leg. The other hand can be there to support and hold on to something because the load is going to be in the same hand as the working leg. Keep the load close to the working muscles and working joints rather than being far out, which will then you will struggle to balance, and you don't want balance to be a limiting factor. You want muscular failure to be the limiting factor. And apart from that, you're just going to look to keep your chest up and drive through. Again, wear straps for this, so it takes grip strength out of the equation and you don't fail through grip. And this would be the next exercise I would do. After doing this, you could also do a walking lunge, but with a walking lunge, you're not going to get as much range of motion as what you're going to get with the elevated rear leg, and gym floor space is not always massive, so I'd be programming this as my next one. And the final exercise, which I actually don't have a video of because I'm not going to lie, I'm never going to video myself doing fucking calf raises. It's just not something that I'm going to do on this. So on this channel, you can't expect to see me talk about calf raises. But that'd be the next thing I'd do. I use the old machines for leg press and seat myself up on there, and it's very simple. You're just plantar flex and dorsiflexing the ankle, and you're going to challenge the quads. So let's move on to the session prescription, and then you can take a screenshot of that. So this is the workout and how I would prescribe it. So you would start off leg extension. You could pair the two together, leg extension, hamstring curl. It just depends how far away they are within your gym and if someone's going to come and take one machine while you're on the other. But if you can kind of team up with someone, you and your buddy train together, you operate the leg extension first, he does the hamstring curl, you just keep alternating like that. That'll work really nice. It's called antagonistic paired sets, so you train in opposing muscles. If you haven't, you're just going to do them one exercise into the next. So leg extension, 2 top sets of a 8 to 12, 1 back off set of a 12 to 15. Now, you could say, well, why 2 top set and not 2 back off sets? Honestly, to do 2 sets of 12 to 15 would just be fucking torture. I'm not even going to lie to you. Like, it would be fucking torture. The pain you would put yourself through. You did 2 back off sets of 15 reps of 3 seconds down, 1 second pause, 1 to 2 seconds on the way up, 1 second pause at the top. That's a long old time toasting off your quads in the short position where you're weak. So honestly, that's why I've gone for 2 top sets. And if you run this workout, you'll thank me for that. Same for the hamstring curl, exactly the same. So at this point, we've hit the muscle in the short position. We're now going to move on to our main money maker, be it the leg press probably to start with the program. We're going to do 1 top set, heavy as fuck, 6 to 10, give fucking birth on that thing. And then you're going to move on to a back off set of 12 to 15, dropping the load by 20%. If you want any more info on top set and back off set, why I do it, why I program it, it was the last video on the channel. You can check that out as well. Now, as you progress, we're then going to look at how can we get more knee flexion, potentially more range of motion and gains on the quads. And we're going to move on to probably a hack squat if you've got it, or a pendulum maybe if you've got it, and they'd be what I'd be programming next. After we've done that, we're going to go back to hamstrings. Is it in the lengthened position doing some form of an RDL? I would say do it on a Smith machine. I personally do it on a Smith machine as well, currently at the minute. I just find it takes balance out the equation. The machine runs up and down. You could just focus on doing what you need to, chest out back straight, driving the glutes back and moving as much load as possible whilst keeping it safe and healthy. So that's going to hit it in the lengthened position. 1 top set, 6 to 10, 1 back off 12 to 15. And then you're going to finish with either a split squat, Bulgarian variation ideally, or a lunge, 1 top set, 8 to 12, 2 back off, 12 to 15. At this point, you'll be fucking bleeding from your eyes and being sick out of your mouth because you're just absolutely toast. And you're going to finish with some calf raises, which for some of you, it doesn't matter how many you do, you're just never going to have fucking big calves because genetics are a motherfucker. And others, you do 1 set and they'll blow up. And we all know people like that. So that is the workout. If you found this video of value and useful, you want to screenshot it, then great. Hopefully you understand the concepts that where I'm coming from in terms of challenge, what exercise is challenging, what muscle at what joint, and how can we maximize that, and why we do things more stable. And yeah, hopefully you found this useful. If you did, subscribe. If you want to work with me, you can do. There'll be links in the description, but no pressure. And I'll see you tomorrow.